There is a match that historians simply call the greatest game ever played. It happened in Glasgow, Scotland, on a Wednesday evening in May 1960. Hampden Park was overflowing with 127,000 people. That night, Real Madrid scored 7 goals against Eintracht Frankfurt. It was a display of football so pure, so dominant, and so artistic, that the replay of the match is still shown in academies today as the definitive lesson on how the sport should be played. But that night in Glasgow was not just a football match. It was the coronation of an empire. It was the final, devastating act of a 5-year period that defied logic, probability, and sport itself. Between 1956 and 1960, Real Madrid did not just win the newly created European Cup. They owned it. They won the first 5 editions consecutively. A record that stands today, untouched, like a monument from an ancient civilization that modern engineering cannot replicate. Many people know the stats. They know the names Di Stéfano and Puskás. But few understand the true story behind them. Few understand that before this era, European football as we know it did not exist. Real Madrid didn't just win the competition. They helped invent it. And in doing so, they invented the modern version of themselves. This is the story of the Golden Age. The story of the White Ballet. And the story of how Real Madrid became, indisputably, the kings of Europe. To understand the magnitude of this achievement, we must first look at the world of 1955. The continent of Europe was still recovering from the deep scars of World War II. Cities were being rebuilt. Borders were rigid and suspicious. The idea of a unified European community was still a fragile political dream. Football was strictly a national affair. The English played in England, the Italians in Italy, and they rarely crossed paths. To crown a single King of Europe seemed like a fantasy. But in Paris, a group of journalists at the newspaper L'Equipe had an idea. And in Madrid, a visionary president named Santiago Bernabéu saw the future. While English clubs arrogantly dismissed the proposed European Cup as a distraction, claiming their own league was superior and isolationist, Bernabéu embraced it. He understood, before anyone else, that the future of football lay not in domestic leagues, but in continental dominance. He realized that to be the best in Spain was not enough. Real Madrid had to be the best in the world. He had the vision. Now, he needed the soldiers to execute it. The foundation was already there, but the catalyst arrived from South America. Alfredo Di Stéfano. We speak of him often, but in this era, he became more than a player. He became the system itself. Di Stéfano was the general on the pitch. He was a phenomenon who demanded the ball from his own goalkeeper and finished the play in the opponent's box. He was arrogant, demanding, brilliant, and tireless. But a general needs an army. Bernabéu surrounded him with greatness. He brought in Paco Gento, a winger so fast he was known as the Gale of the Cantabrian Sea. Gento could run the 100 meters almost as fast as an Olympic sprinter, but with a ball at his feet. He brought in Hector Rayl, the intellectual partner to Di Stéfano's raw power. He brought in Raymond Kopa, the French magician who drifted past defenders like a ghost. And later, he would add the final, devastating piece of the puzzle, Ferenc Puskás, the Hungarian cannon. This collection of talent was the first true super team in history. The original Galacticos, 50 years before the term existed. The journey began in 1956. The inaugural final was held in Paris, fittingly, against the French champions, Stade de Reims. It was not an easy coronation. In fact, it almost turned into a nightmare. Madrid went down 2-0 in the first 10 minutes. The French side was fast, technical, and playing at home. The dream of European dominance could have died right there, in the first hour. But this team possessed a resilience that would become the club's trademark for the next century. Led by Di Stéfano, they fought back. They clawed their way into the match, turning a potential humiliation into a 4-3 victory. Real Madrid were the first champions of Europe. They had the trophy. But they were not yet legends. One trophy can be luck. 2 creates a pattern. In 1957, the final was held at the Santiago Bernabéu itself. Imagine the pressure. To play the final of a competition you hold, in your own fortress, in front of your own people. The opponent was Fiorentina, a defensive Italian wall representing the tactical discipline of Serie A. For nearly 70 minutes, the Italians held firm. The Bernabeu grew anxious. Silence began to creep into the stands. But then, a penalty changed everything. Di Stéfano stepped up. He never missed when it mattered. Then Gento, with his blistering pace, broke the lines to seal it. 2-0. The stadium erupted. The relationship between Real Madrid and the European Cup was sealed in concrete. They had defended the crown. By 1958, the team was evolving, but the challenge was getting harder. The final against AC Milan in Brussels was a war. Milan led twice. Twice, Madrid equalized. The match went to extra time, players collapsing from exhaustion on the pitch. It was a test of pure physical and mental endurance. But Paco Gento, the man with the inexhaustible lungs, found one last burst of energy. In the 107th minute, he scored the winner. 3 years. 3 cups. At this point, the rest of Europe was not just beaten, they were demoralized. Teams didn't enter the pitch believing they could win, they simply hoped to survive without embarrassment. In 1959, Madrid faced Reims again in Stuttgart. This time, the French knew what was coming, but they couldn't stop it. Even without the full squad firing on all cylinders, Madrid won 2-0 comfortably. For consecutive titles. It was a dominance that seemed impossible to sustain. Critics said the team was getting old. They said the hunger would fade. But the masterpiece, the defining moment of the century, was waiting in 1960. By then, Ferenc Puskás was fully integrated into the team. His story is tragic and heroic. An exile from Hungary, he had not played professional football for 2 years before joining Madrid. He was 31 years old, overweight by athletic standards, and many thought he was finished. But he possessed a left foot that defied physics. He formed a telepathic partnership with Di Stéfano. The final against Eintracht Frankfurt at Hamden Park remains the highest-scoring final in history, and perhaps the finest display of attacking football ever seen. Frankfurt actually scored first. For a moment, the German side thought they had a chance. That goal simply woke the beast. What followed was an execution. Di Stéfano scored equalized quickly. Then he scored again. Then Puskás took over. The Hungarian scored 4 goals. 4 goals in a European Cup final. Di Stéfano completed his hat-trick for 3. The score ended 7-3. It wasn't a match, it was an exhibition. It was total football, before the Dutch coined the term. At the final whistle, the Scottish fans, neutral observers, stayed in the stadium to applaud. They knew they had witnessed history that would never be repeated. Real Madrid had won 5 consecutive European Cups. Winning 5 trophies did more than fill a cabinet. It created the myth of Real Madrid. It established the psychological barrier that opponents face today. This specific era established the unwritten rules of the club. Rule number 1, Europe is our natural territory. Rule number 2, second place is absolute failure. Rule number 3, to play for Real Madrid is to accept that you must be the best in the world, every single day. The Yee team, a generation of all Spanish players, would win a 6th title in 1966, proving that the club could win without Di Stéfano. But the foundation, the soul of the club, was forged in those first 5 years. Critics often say that football was easier back then. They talk about slower pace, different tactics, less physical preparation. But they miss the point entirely. To travel across a divided Europe, to play on mud pitches that would be deemed unplayable today, to navigate hostile environments, and to defend a title against every champion on the continent, year after year, with a target on your back, requires a mental strength that is timeless. The pressure was immense. Being the champion meant every game was the opponent's World Cup final. Real Madrid faced everyone's best shot, every single time, and they did not blink. Real Madrid invented the modern superclub in the 1950s. Every era of dominance that followed, the Galacticos of Zidane and Figo, the three-peat under Zidane as a coach, the miracles of 2022, is just an echo of that original scream. The DNA of the comeback, the belief that the game is never over until the whistle blows, the arrogance to believe that the trophy belongs in Madrid by divine right, it all started here. The 5 cups were not just trophies. They were the blueprint. They were the warning to the rest of the world. A warning that still rings true today. Real Madrid had arrived. They had built a throne that sits higher than any other. And they were never, ever going away. This is why, when the Champions League anthem plays today, the world looks at the white shirt differently. Because that shirt carries the weight of 1956, 57, 58, 59, and 60. It carries the spirit of Di Stéfano and Puskás. And that history is not a burden. It is a weapon.
Madrid, unfiltered.